Hi there, it's CJ here, Chris, and it's the first day of National Mental Health Week in the UK. So I wanted to post a video to talk about it, and I'm going to try and do one every day this week. Um, Last week was a positive week for me. I made a lot of progress and everything else, but yesterday I had a pretty big wobble, and I feel like I've kind of gone back to not quite square one, but very nearly square one. Um, so I suppose in some ways, yes, I've made progress because I'm not back at square one. Um, but I wanted to talk about. I'm going to choose a different topic related to mental health every day this week. And if you've got any topics you want me to talk about, then pop a comment and I'll do my best to talk about it. Over the years, when I've had my depression and stuff, a bit of a wobble, people have said there's no such thing as depression, or there's no such thing as anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that, or you don't look ill, and it's kind of like, yeah, you don't look like an arsehole. Sorry to be blunt, but it's that kind of thing. That's kind of how you feel about it. It's kind of, just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it isn't there. I don't want to talk about religion and spirituality and stuff like that, but for a lot of people, because they can't see it, they haven't got the evidence that it exists, or they haven't experienced it themselves, it doesn't exist. And when you're suffering with depression and other mental health issues like bipolar and panic attacks, schizophrenia, stuff like that, it's you're living with it. You know that it exists, and that's all that matters to you, is the fact that it exists. And then you get idiots that say, "Oh no, this doesn't exist because." I shouldn't have said idiots, because I actually feel quite sorry for them if they haven't experienced something that means that they can't accept that it perhaps does exist. I keep a very open mind. I try very hard to keep an open mind. I try very hard not to judge people and stuff like that. But, obviously we're human and it does happen. So rather than getting irate about it, talk about it. Yeah, write a blog about it, write a post about it, write a post saying, look, you may not see this, you may be walking around town, and looking okay, but we don't know what's going on inside. So, it's difficult. I mean, a few years ago, when Robin Williams killed himself, that was such a tragedy, because he couldn't see any way out, and we don't know all the ins and outs. Some say he'd been diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's and couldn't cope with it and stuff like that. But he'd always had kind of a roller coaster of emotional rides, and you just kind of wish that you could, reach out, but sometimes you can't. But being able to talk about it is important. And it's not about manning up, it's not about growing a pair, it's not about you're in your 40s, why are you crying. That's not helpful. It takes more courage to talk about it than it does to block it away, to shut it away. Yeah, so the fact is that these conditions exist. I suffer with these conditions. Other people suffer with them when I'm suffering, because I can't communicate with them as openly as I want to, because I don't want to over worry people. So it exists, and just read up on it, ask questions, don't just slam the door and say, no, it doesn't exist, you're looking for attention, and stuff like that. Because the thing is, on one basic level, we have the same thing in common, and we are all human. And that should be enough. That should be enough for us to support each other. It's National Mental Health Week in the UK. And let's get it up there. Let's get some proper work and funding done and get some proper research done. It's not about putting people into pigeonholes, because that's not helpful either. Everybody is unique. Everybody has their own set of standards, own buttons that get pressed, their own coping mechanisms and stuff like that. So, it's about time that this was given the proper attention that it deserves. And it's not just about taking a pill either, because I stopped taking medication about 18 months ago, and it was a difficult decision to make. It didn't take me long to make the decision at all. I was getting fed up of feeling like a zombie. Basically, I had no ability to cry, no ability really to laugh. I was just going through the motions. And as a creative person, as a musician and all that, I hate that. I need to be in touch with my emotions. And it can make me quite difficult to live with. I know that. But I took myself off. I weaned myself off the medication. And, this is the lowest I've been since being off the medication. But it's not as bad as it was, when I first started about 30 years ago or so. No, not that long ago. Not that long ago, about 18 years ago. There's a big difference, I know. I went to the doctor and they gave me Prozac. And it made me feel better for a while. And I reported back to the doctor, yeah, I'm feeling better. And the next week, I tried to kill myself on my motorbike. I rode a motorbike at the time. And things just, because the doctor didn't say wean yourself off, he just says stop. So I stopped. And that's kind of the level of misunderstanding that there is. It's kind of, that was scary, but there was something that just stopped me doing it. Obviously, because I'm still here. And I don't often talk about it because it's kind of in the past. But it just gives you an idea of what you go through. When you're on the medication, things are kind of okay. You stop taking the medication and then suddenly, wallop, something happens and it just triggers that thing where you just go, I don't want to be here anymore, and you just try and do it. And anyone who knows me and didn't know that, I'm sorry that you've found out about this here. I don't need to be put on suicide watch. I'm not that. We all, when you're depressed, you tend to think about, well, maybe it would be better if I'm not here, make all my problems go away. But then, I get anxious about the problems that I would be leaving other people. And I want to take responsibility for my actions. I don't want to use depression as an excuse. I'm going to stop because I'm going round in circles and I'm probably covering topics that I want to cover later on in the week. But as it's the first day of Mental Health Week in the UK, I just wanted to say, talk about it. Don't shut it out, talk about it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. It's very important that we talk about it. And it's very important that people start to pay attention to it and that they actually realise that it's an important issue. Cancer's an important issue, of course it is. Child, cancer and child issues, and there are so many issues, but for some reason mental health gets scooped under the carpet. It gets put right to the bottom of the list. So talk about it. If you want to know something, ask a question. Post a question down below and I'll be delighted to answer it. All right, let's get some dialogue going. Nearly 10 minutes of talking now. Yeah, thanks for watching.